The phone rang on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting in my office, high up in a tall building. My big window looked out over Central Park. The trees were green, and tiny people walked below like ants. Cars moved slowly on the streets. Everything outside looked calm. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me where are you watching this from, and what time of day is it? Inside my office, I was working. I was reading papers about money that my foundation gave to help hospitals. These papers were called grant proposals. They explained how hospitals wanted to use money to help sick children and families. Then my phone rang. I looked at the screen. It said Mom. I picked up the phone. Octavia, it's Mom, she said. Her voice sounded soft and careful. She used that voice when she wanted to say something bad, but make it sound like it was okay. We need to talk about Viveka's baby shower, she said. I stopped writing and put my pen down on the desk. What about it? I asked. Well, honey, Mom said slowly, your father and I have been thinking. I waited. Viveka's friends are all doctors, Mom continued. They work at the hospital with her. Pediatricians. Surgeons. Very smart women. I don't understand, I said. Mom took a small breath. They might ask you what kind of work you do, she said. And when you tell them you work in nonprofit administration, they might judge you. I felt my chest tighten. Judge me? I asked. Yes, Mom said. Doctors can be very focused on titles and jobs. Viveka doesn't want anyone to feel uncomfortable on her special day. Her words sounded polite, but they hurt. So, I said slowly, you're saying I'm not invited to my sister's baby shower? Oh no, sweetie, Mom said quickly. It's not that you're not invited. It's just maybe it's better if it's only her work friends. I stayed quiet. You understand, right? Mom added. These women are very particular. I looked out my big window again. I was 47 floors above the city. People were living their lives, laughing, walking, eating lunch. They had no idea that a woman in a glass tower was being told she didn't belong at her own sister's celebration. I understand, I said quietly. Oh good, Mom said happily. I knew you would be mature about this. My stomach felt heavy. We'll have a small family dinner later, Mom continued. Just the four of us. That will be nicer anyway. When is the baby shower? I asked. This Saturday at 2 o'clock, Mom said. At the Rosewood Hotel. Viveka booked the garden terrace. I knew that hotel very well. I had planned big charity parties there before. That sounds lovely, I said. It will be, Mom replied. And Octavia, this isn't personal. We love you. Sometimes it's just better to be practical. Then she hung up. I sat very still in my chair. The office was quiet. I could hear the soft hum of the building. I felt small cuts inside my heart. They were not loud or dramatic, just sharp and painful. After a moment, I opened my laptop. I looked at my calendar. Saturday at 2 p.m. was empty. I had planned to go to Viveka's baby shower. I had ordered a beautiful silver baby rattle with her baby's name engraved on it. It was a gift from Tiffany's. Instead, I started typing. I wrote an email to the board of the Jameson Foundation. I chose my words carefully. Dear board members, I wrote. An urgent matter requires our attention. I am calling an emergency meeting this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. We need to discuss recent developments with our hospital partnerships. Specifically, our $25 million commitment to Presbyterian Heights Medical Center. I read the email twice. Then I pressed send. Next, I opened my contacts. I found Dr. Thalira Cross. She was the chief surgery doctor at Presbyterian Heights. We had lunch together once a month for 3 years. My foundation had helped fund a children's cancer wing at her hospital. I sent her a message. Hi Thalira, I wrote. Are you attending a baby shower at the Rosewood this Saturday? She replied quickly. Yes, she wrote. Viveka Chen's baby shower. Do you know her? She's my sister, I replied. There was a pause. Your sister? Thalira wrote. Why didn't you tell me? Are you coming? I'd love to introduce you to everyone. I took a breath. I wasn't invited, I wrote. Family dynamics. 3 dots appeared. Then it disappeared. Then it appeared again. That's strange, Thalira wrote. Viveka talks about you sometimes. She says you work in nonprofit admin. She makes it sound very entry-level. I stared at the words. I do work in nonprofit administration, I replied. Thalira answered quickly. Octavia, you're the executive director of the Jameson Foundation. That's one of the most powerful charity jobs in medical care. Viveka doesn't know that, I wrote. How does she not know? Thalira asked. Because I never corrected her, I answered. It felt easier. Thalira was quiet for a moment. And she didn't invite you because she thinks you aren't successful enough? She asked. Something like that, I wrote. That's not okay, Thalira replied. It's fine, I said. I'm used to it. It's not fine, Thalira wrote. But I respect your privacy. What is happening Saturday? I'm calling an emergency board meeting, I replied. We're reviewing hospital partnerships. All of them, she asked. Especially Presbyterian Heights, I wrote. Thalira paused longer this time. Octavia, she said. The children's wing opens in 3 months. We already spent most of the money. I'm not stopping funding, I said. But we need to review whether our partners share our values. This is about Viveka, Thalira said. This is about values, I replied. Octavia, Thalira typed. I've given your hospital $25 million, I wrote. I've helped raise money and bring in donors. And my sister, who works there, decided I wasn't good enough for her baby shower. Thalira understood. If the board discusses this, she warned, people will hear. Many hospital staff are at the shower. I know, I replied. And you're okay with that? She asked. I'm okay with the truth being visible, I wrote. I leaned back in my chair. My family called me Octavia. That was my real name. At work, I was Octavia Jameson Chin. My grandmother, Maris Jameson, started the Jameson Medical Foundation. She built it from a lot of money and a lot of hard work. She believed in helping people who healed others. When she died, she left the foundation to me. She told me one thing. Give money to people who heal, not people who want praise. I became director at 31. Last year alone, we gave away millions of dollars to hospitals and research programs. My family knew I worked for Grandma's charity, but they thought I just did paperwork. Viveka was always the star. She was older. She went to the best schools. She became a surgeon. My parents were proud of her. They said, "This is our daughter Viveka, the doctor." Then they said, "This is Octavia. She works for a charity." I stopped correcting them years ago. But this time Viveka went too far. Saturday arrived. The sky was gray. I wore a serious suit. I wore my grandmother's earrings. At 2:15 p.m., I walked into the boardroom. 12 people sat at the table. "We need to talk about Presbyterian Heights," I said. They listened. And for the first time, the truth stood in the open. At 2:47 p.m., my assistant showed Dr. Thalira Cross into the conference room. Thalira looked worried. She was still in her dress from her shower, and it was clear she had left home very early in the morning to come here. She sat down slowly in the chair across from me. I tried to stay calm and polite. "Dr. Cross, thank you for coming," I said. "The board has some questions about how people are treated at Presbyterian Heights." Thalira gave me a look. It was the kind of look that said, "I can't believe you are actually doing this." Richard, one of the board members, spoke first. "Dr. Cross, Octavia has raised concerns about how Presbyterian Heights treats people who are not doctors. Can you tell us about the culture at your hospital?" Thalira took a deep breath and began to explain. "At Presbyterian Heights, we always try to work together. We have doctors, nurses, administrators, social workers, and researchers. Every person has an important job. Our mission statement clearly says that all jobs are valuable, and everyone contributes to taking care of patients." Patricia, another board member, spoke up. "But in real life, is it really like that?" "Well," Thalira said carefully, "we are humans and humans make mistakes. Sometimes doctors act like they are the most important people. This happens not just at our hospital, but in hospitals all over the country. Doctors sometimes forget that healing happens because of many people working together, not just one person." Richard asked, "Has anyone ever told you about this problem before?" "No," Thalira replied. "Octavia has always been helpful. She has come to every fundraiser, helped get big donations, and supported our pediatric cancer wing personally. She has always been wonderful. So I didn't understand why we were talking about this problem now." Thalira paused, looking at me. I nodded to encourage her to continue. She spoke carefully. "I went to a baby shower today for Dr. Viveka Chin. She is one of our surgical residents. During the shower, Viveka's mother mentioned that Viveka's sister could not attend because she works in hospital administration. She said Viveka's sister wouldn't fit in with all the accomplished women here." Patricia's jaw tightened. She looked upset. I spoke quietly. "Viveka's sister is me. Viveka is my sister. She did not invite me to her baby shower because she thought I wasn't successful enough to spend time with her doctor friends." The room erupted in chatter. Everyone was shocked. "That's unconscionable. She doesn't know who you are." "How is that even possible?" someone asked. I raised my hand to calm everyone. Viveka knows that I work for the Jameson Foundation. She just assumes I do small office tasks like filing papers or processing grants. I have never corrected her. Why not? Richard demanded. Why didn't you correct her? Because my family expected me to be less successful than Viveka. That was my role in our family story. Correcting them would have changed everything. It would have disrupted the story my family wanted to tell. Patricia asked sharply. So you gave money to her hospital instead? Yes. I funded a hospital that does excellent work. The fact that Viveka works there is just a coincidence. But her attitude shows a bigger problem. Some people believe only doctors matter, and that is not right. Other professionals also make important contributions to healthcare. Thalira spoke again. At the baby shower, several people made jokes about jobs that are not in medicine. They said that some people couldn't cut it in medical school. Octavia is right. The problem exists and it is real. It exists in our hospital. Richard looked at Thalira. You are the chief of surgery. What are you doing to fix this problem? Honestly, Thalira said. Not enough. I focused on clinical excellence and assumed cultural problems would fix themselves. Today made me realize that they will not. Richard turned to me. Octavia, what do you want? I want Presbyterian Heights to show that they value all workers, not just doctors, I said. I want hospital leaders to address the hierarchy that makes staff look down on other professionals. I want the Foundation's money to support hospitals where excellence is recognized in all its forms. And if Presbyterian Heights cannot meet those standards, we will finish our current grants. But all future funding will go to hospitals that do meet them. Thalira's face went pale. Octavia, Presbyterian Heights gets more Foundation funding than any other hospital in the region. If you redirect future funding, perhaps the hospital should make sure its culture matches the values that attracted that funding in the first place. Richard looked around the table at all the board members. They began discussing the matter. The discussion lasted 40 minutes. Everyone agreed that hospital culture mattered a great deal. If Presbyterian Heights showed systemic dismissiveness toward non-medical professionals, that would conflict with Foundation values. Finally, Richard said, Dr. Cross, the board's decision is this. We will continue current commitments, but all future funding is contingent on Presbyterian Heights implementing measurable cultural change. We want quarterly reports on initiatives to address professional hierarchy. We want staff training on interdisciplinary respect. And we want visible leadership commitment to valuing all contributions to patient care. You have 90 days to present an action plan. Until then, all new grant applications are frozen. Thalira said quietly, I understand. After Thalira left, the board members lingered in the room. Patricia approached me. Octavia, that took courage. You reached a breaking point. Your sister has no idea what she could have cost her hospital. Does she? Not yet, I said. But she will soon. Word travels fast in medical circles. At 4:17 p.m., while I was still dealing with the aftermath of the board meeting, my phone started buzzing. It was Viveka. Octavia, what the hell is going on? Dr. Cross left my baby shower early for an emergency board meeting with the Jameson Foundation. People are saying the foundation is reviewing Presbyterian Heights funding. I silenced the phone. Octavia? Viveka called again. Why is the Jameson Foundation suddenly questioning Presbyterian Heights? This is going to reflect badly on all of us residents. Can you find out what's happening? I deleted the message. At 6:42 p.m., another voicemail came from Mom. Octavia, this is getting serious. Viveka's colleagues are saying the Jameson Foundation might pull $25 million in funding. That's for the pediatric wing Viveka has been working on. Can you ask your boss what is happening? This could ruin Viveka's career before it even starts. I poured a glass of wine and looked out at the city lights. My phone buzzed again. It was Thalira. Octavia, the hospital administrator, just called an emergency leadership meeting for Monday morning. Word got out that your name came up. Viveka asked if anyone knew who Octavia Chin from the foundation was. I told her she should ask you herself. She said, you just do paperwork. Someone showed her the foundation website, the executive team page, and your photo and bio. She went completely silent. I asked, what does my bio say? Thalira read, Octavia Jameson, Executive Director. Octavia leads the strategic direction for the Jameson Medical Foundation's $94 million annual distribution budget. Previously, she served as Director of Strategic Partnerships and completed a fellowship in medical philanthropy at Georgetown University. She holds degrees in public policy and healthcare administration. Under her leadership, the foundation has distributed over $380 million to medical research and hospital infrastructure. I said, she literally said, that can't be my sister. My sister works in admin me. Thalira nodded. Yes. I told her that administration at the executive level means controlling hundreds of millions of dollars in medical funding. That grant paperwork means deciding which hospitals get world-class pediatric wings and which ones don't. She was shocked. She didn't realize who you really are. Viveka asked for my phone number. I told her she already had it. At 7:28 p.m., Viveka called again. This time I answered. Octavia, she said, her voice tight. I need you to tell me something. Okay, I said. Are you Octavia Jameson Chin, Executive Director of the Jameson Foundation? Yes, I said. There was a long silence. Then she whispered, You're the person who controls the $25 million grant to Presbyterian Heights? Yes. I was the one who recommended it to the board. The board approved it. And today, I called an emergency board meeting to review our hospital partnerships. Because of what? She asked, her voice shaking. Because I didn't get invited to your baby shower, I said. Wait, you didn't get invited because you thought I wasn't accomplished enough to socialize with my doctor friends. There's a difference. No, Viveka, I said. There isn't a difference. Mom called me on Tuesday and said that your friends are all from your residency program, very accomplished women, and that you might feel awkward if they asked questions about my work. You didn't want anyone to feel uncomfortable on your special day. You were trying to protect me from something, right? From what? Viveka asked. From your accomplished friends asking about my work? I said. Viveka, I oversee nearly $100 million in annual medical grants. I work with hospital CEOs, research directors, recruit billionaire donors, and negotiate multi-year funding commitments. I am responsible for huge decisions. What exactly was I being protected from? I didn't know you did all of that, Viveka said quietly. I never knew. In 10 years of holiday dinners, you never told me what you actually do. You never corrected our family assumptions. I didn't understand. I didn't know how important your work really was. You asked me a lot of questions about my job. You asked if it had good benefits, if it was stressful, if I enjoyed helping people through charity work. But you never asked the things that really mattered about what I did every day. You never asked about the big decisions I had to make, the money I managed, or how I helped plan important projects. You only thought about the word administration and assumed it meant boring office work, like pushing papers around. I told you that I work at the Jameson Foundation in grant administration. That was true. I do work in grant administration. But my work isn't what you thought it was. At my level, administration doesn't mean sitting at a desk and stamping papers all day. It means that I help decide how $94 million gets spent every year. That's almost $100 million. That's a lot of money, and it affects a lot of hospitals, doctors, patients, and families. But when you heard administration, you thought it was a small job. You didn't know what I actually did, and you assumed my work wasn't important. Viveka's voice cracked over the phone when she spoke. So you're punishing my hospital because you thought my job wasn't important? She asked. I'm not punishing anyone, I told her calmly. I am making sure our foundation gives money to hospitals that actually care about everyone who works there, not just the doctors. At Presbyterian Heights, people think that only doctors matter. That means the nurses, the administrators, the fundraisers, and even the researchers aren't really valued. That isn't fair, and it goes against everything our foundation believes in. Viveka's voice got shaky. That's not fair, is it? She whispered. Yes, I said firmly. And it's also not fair that you excluded me from your baby shower because you thought my job wasn't important enough for your doctor friends. That hurt. That was exactly the kind of thinking that shows what's wrong with your hospital's culture. Her voice was quiet and sad. Octavia, if the foundation pulls its money, the new pediatric wing won't open. I've been working on this project for a whole year. It was going to be my specialty focus. I've been planning it, dreaming about it. If funding is pulled, it will be a disaster for me and for the children who need it. I tried to stay calm and explain the bigger picture. Then maybe Presbyterian Heights should show that it values everyone who helps make that wing happen. Not just the doctors, the administrators who coordinate the construction, the fundraisers who secure donations, the grant directors who approve funding, the foundation executives who champion the project, all of them. The people who make the hospital work, who make it a place where children can get better, deserve recognition too. If your hospital only celebrates doctors, It's missing half the team that makes healing possible. You're being vindictive, she said, sounding almost angry. I'm being consistent, I said. There is a difference. I didn't pull the funding because I wanted revenge. I pulled it because your hospital's culture doesn't align with our foundation's values. If Presbyterian Heights wants our support, it needs to earn it. It needs to show that it really values everyone who contributes, not just the people with MD degrees. Octavia, trying to sound desperate, said, "Please, this will ruin my career. Everyone knows the pediatric wing is funded by the Jameson Foundation. If the project falls apart, it reflects badly on all of us residents." I replied, "Then work with Dr. Cross. Work with your hospital leaders to change the culture. Show that Presbyterian Heights recognizes and celebrates all healthcare professionals. Demonstrate excellence in every role, not just in those who perform surgeries. The hospital has to prove it values everyone, not just the doctors." "I can't believe you're doing this," Viveka said. "I can't believe you thought my career was too small to be part of your life, but here we are." She hung up the phone. The next Monday morning, I arrived at my office. I had 17 missed calls from family members. I ignored them all. I needed a moment to focus. At 10:15 a.m., my assistant buzzed in. "Miss Jameson Chin, your sister Viveka is here. She says she doesn't have an appointment, but she says she is your sister." I looked at my reflection in the office window. My posture was perfect, my expression calm, and my mind focused. "Send her up," I said. Viveka walked into my office and stopped dead. She looked around, taking in the view from the window, the beautiful artwork on the walls, the huge mahogany desk, and the photos of me with hospital administrators and Nobel Prize winners. "This is your office?" she asked, almost whispering. "Yes," I said. "Executive director offices are usually big." She walked slowly to the window and stared at the view over Central Park. "I had no idea," she said quietly. "I know," I said. "Why are you here?" "I came to apologize," she said. "For what, exactly?" I asked. "For not inviting you to my baby shower, for making assumptions about your career, and for not really knowing who you are. Those are 3 separate things, and I want to apologize for all of them. Can we go through them one by one?" "Sure," I said. "First, the baby shower. Do you understand why that hurt?" I asked. "Yes," she said, tears forming in her eyes. "I excluded you because I thought your career wasn't impressive enough for my doctor friends. That was cruel and mean." "Yes, it was," I said softly. "Next, the assumptions about your career," she said. "I never asked you what you actually did. I just heard the words nonprofit and administration, and assumed it meant entry-level work. I didn't verify anything, and I didn't show interest. That was wrong. And finally," she said, "not knowing who you actually are. I've been your sister for 36 years, and I don't really know your life. I don't know what you do every day, what you've accomplished, or what your work looks like. I've been too focused on my own career to really understand yours." I asked quietly, "Why didn't you try to understand me?" Viveka sat down heavily. "Because it was easier to be the successful one if you were seen as the smaller one. Comparing myself to you made me feel better about my own achievements. I needed you to look smaller, so I could feel bigger. Honesty is painful, but it's the truth." I nodded. "Thank you for saying that. It doesn't make it okay, but it's a start." "Octavia, the hospital is in crisis," she said. "Dr. Cross held a meeting with all the staff this morning. She explained that the Jameson Foundation is reconsidering which hospitals it partners with based on whether the hospital respects all its staff equally. She told everyone that one of our own residents excluded her sister from the celebration because she worked in administration, not knowing that sister actually controls the foundation's funding. People were horrified, ashamed, and realized that our hospital has a culture problem." "Good," I said. "But Octavia, I'm the reason this happened," Viveka said. "Everyone knows it was my baby shower. I've become the face of what's wrong with our hospital culture. Is that fair?" "Completely fair," I said. "You demonstrated the problem, and now we all have to deal with it. You showed everyone exactly what's wrong, and that's why we have to fix it." We sat in silence for a few moments. Then Viveka asked, "What do I need to do to fix this? For myself and professionally for my hospital?" "Both," I said. "Personally," I said, "you need to actually get to know me. Not as the less successful sister, but as a real person with a real career. Ask questions, show interest, and respect my work as much as you expect people to respect yours. Can you do that?" "Yes," she said. "Also," I said, "you need to sit with the discomfort of realizing you were wrong. Don't try to rush past it. Don't try to make it go away quickly. Feel it, understand it, and learn from it. I'm feeling it, she said. Good, I said. Professionally, you need to be the loudest voice in changing your hospital culture. Use your position as chief resident to show that professional hierarchy, the idea that doctors are better than everyone else, is wrong. Lead the change and make sure everyone knows it. I will, she said. And Viveka, I said, you need to understand something important. I didn't pull funding out of petty revenge. I pulled it because your hospital showed a fundamental misalignment between what it says it values and what it actually does. Presbyterian Heights needs to deserve support. It needs to show that it values all the people who make healthcare possible, not just the doctors. I understand, she said. Do you really understand? I asked. Because this isn't about us. This is about whether hospitals value all the people who help patients, researchers, administrators, fundraisers, and policy experts. If medical institutions only celebrate doctors, they are missing half of the team that makes healing possible. Viveka nodded slowly. You're right. We've been wrong. I've been wrong. Yes, you have, I said. Can I ask you something? She said. Go ahead, I said. Why didn't you ever correct us? Why didn't you make us see you? I thought about that, I said. Fighting for recognition is exhausting. I was tired of always having to justify my worth. I decided it was easier to build something undeniable than to constantly argue for acknowledgement. And then I made you argue anyway. No, I said. I made you set a boundary. There's a difference. I'm not asking for acknowledgement anymore, Viveka. I'm requiring it. If institutions or family members can't provide it, I'm redirecting my energy elsewhere. She walked over to my desk. I want to do better as your sister. I want to actually know you. That takes time. Your baby isn't coming for 4 months. Can I be part of it? I want my daughter to know her aunt, the real one, not the version I invented. I want her to see that success comes in many forms. That leadership isn't just about being a surgeon. That the woman who funds pediatric wings is just as important as the woman who operates in them. Something in my chest loosened. I'd like that, I said quietly. Can we start over? She asked. Actually start over, I said. Tell me about your work, she said. Really? Tell me. I want to understand what you do every day. So I told her everything. I told her about the grant review process, how I look at proposals from hospitals, and how I help decide which projects get money. I told her about building partnerships with donors, about the board meetings where we decide which medical ideas deserve funding, and about the pediatric cancer wing at Presbyterian Heights. I told her how I personally recruited 3 major donors, how I championed the project through 2 years of reviews, and how I negotiated a $25 million commitment. I told her about the other hospitals, research labs, and community health programs we support. Viveka listened. She really listened. She asked questions, took notes, and seemed amazed. Octavia, you've built something incredible, she said softly. Thank you, I said. And I've been treating you like you were unsuccessful, she said. Yes, I said. I know. I'm so sorry. 3 months later, the Jameson Pediatric Cancer Wing at Presbyterian Heights finally opened. The dedication ceremony was beautiful. Families, hospital staff, and board members were all there. Everyone celebrated together. The children smiled. The nurses clapped. The doctors were proud, and the administrators were recognized for their hard work too. It was a day to remember, showing that when everyone is valued, amazing things can happen. Dr. Cross gave a speech about how important it is for people from different jobs to work together to help children who are sick. She said that doctors, nurses, researchers, hospital workers, and people who give money all play a part in making a hospital wing possible. Then she talked about me. She said, I want to introduce Octavia Jameson, the leader of the Jameson Foundation. Without Octavia's ideas, hard work, and leadership, this wing wouldn't exist. Octavia, would you like to say a few words? I walked carefully to the microphone and looked at all the people sitting in the audience. My heart was beating fast. My family was sitting right in the front row. My mom and dad were there, and my sister Viveka was holding her baby daughter. I took a deep breath and began to speak. When we give money to help hospitals, I said, we are not just building walls or buying machines. We are giving hope. We are giving children who are sick a chance to get better. We are helping people work together to do something amazing. I paused for a moment and looked at Viveka. Then I continued, this hospital wing exists because of doctors who care for patients, nurses who work day and night, researchers who discover new treatments, hospital workers who make sure everything runs smoothly, donors who believe in helping others, and the foundation staff who make these projects happen. Everyone matters. Not just the people with the most famous jobs or fancy degrees. Everyone is important. And when everyone is valued, amazing things can happen. The people in the audience clapped their hands. It felt warm and real. I smiled and nodded, happy that people understood. After the ceremony, Viveka came to me with her daughter in her arms. Octavia, I want you to meet Maris. She's named after Grandma. I looked at the tiny baby with bright, curious eyes. She was so small, but she looked alert and full of life. Hello, Maris, I whispered gently. Viveka smiled at me. I want her to know her Aunt Octavia, she said. The real one, the one who builds hospital wings, changes how hospitals work, and doesn't need anyone's permission to be amazing. That's a lot of pressure for an aunt, isn't it? I laughed softly. You can handle it. You run a huge foundation. You're stronger than you think. When did you memorize that number? I asked, smiling. When I started actually paying attention to your work, Octavia, Viveka said. I've been telling everyone about you, at the hospital, at family dinners, anyone who would listen. My sister runs the Jameson Foundation. She's one of the most important people helping hospitals. That's very kind, I said. But it's true, and I should have been telling people this for a long time. Mom came over, dabbing her eyes. Octavia, your speech was beautiful. We are so proud of you. Thank you, Mom. I'm sorry you didn't understand before what I had done. You should have asked more questions, I said softly. Yes, we should have, she said. Can we do better from now on? We can try, I said, smiling. Dad joined us, looking thoughtful. Octavia, my coworkers have been asking about you. I had no idea your foundation was so famous. It's okay, Dad, I said, shaking my head. No, it's not okay, he said. We let you be invisible for too long. That changes now. And it did change. Slowly, but it really did. Family dinners became real conversations about my work. Holiday parties included questions about my projects. Viveka called me often, not just for big events, but to ask how I was doing during the week. It didn't fix everything immediately. Years of being ignored don't go away quickly. But it was real, and that was enough for me. 6 months after the new hospital wing opened, I received a letter from Presbyterian Heights. Dr. Cross had written to tell me the hospital had finished a big change. The staff had been trained to respect everyone, new rules were made to value every worker, and the hospital now treated all staff better. The letter ended with these words. This change started because you were brave enough to speak up. We are thankful for your leadership and for refusing to accept a culture that didn't value your foundation's support. I called a board meeting to talk to my team. Presbyterian Heights has done the work, I said. They have really changed. I think we should give them the next round of funding. Richard, one of the board members, smiled. The research lab expansion? He asked. Yes, I said. $18 million over 3 years. Are you sure they deserve it? He asked carefully. Yes, I am, I said firmly. The board agreed unanimously. Everyone said yes. After the meeting, Patricia, another board member, pulled me aside. Octavia, what you did, making the hospital change by saying you might take your money away, was brave. Some people thought it was too personal. It was personal, I said, but it was also right. I didn't need courage. I just didn't want to be ignored anymore. She laughed softly. Whatever it was, it worked. The hospital is better because of you. And your sister is trying to be better too. That's what matters, I said. A year after the baby shower I wasn't invited to, Viveka sent me a beautiful invitation for Maris's first birthday. It said, "You're invited to celebrate Maris's first birthday. Saturday, 2 p.m. Rosewood Hotel Garden Terrace. We can't wait to celebrate with the people who matter most. Octavia, please come. It wouldn't be the same without you, your family." This time I knew exactly who I was. I went to the party. The same doctors were there, the same amazing women who had attended the baby shower. But this time, Viveka introduced me properly. Everyone, this is my sister Octavia. She runs the Jameson Foundation. She's the reason this hospital has world-class facilities. She is one of the most respected people in medical philanthropy. I'm proud to be her sister. The doctors looked at me with new respect. Some thanked me for helping the hospital. Some asked about funding opportunities. It felt good, but that wasn't the reason I came. I came because Viveka had asked me. Because she had done the work to see me. Because she wanted to celebrate with me. As the party ended, Viveka found me on the terrace. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming this time," she said softly. Octavia, I've been thinking about the baby shower. About what I said, about what I thought about you. Have we moved past that? I think so, I said. I'm not sure I have, she said. Sometimes I wake up remembering that I didn't include you because I thought you weren't successful enough. It makes me feel sick. Vivika, it's okay. You can forgive yourself, I said. Am I allowed? She asked. Even though I was wrong? Yes, I said. You saw it. You changed. That's what matters. I want Maris to grow up different from me. I want her to ask questions, to never judge people by their jobs or degrees. To know that success can look many ways. And I want to teach her with your help. Octavia, will you be part of her life? Really part of it. I'd like that, I said. We watched Maris toddle across the grass, chasing bubbles and laughing. The sun was shining, and the air was warm. She fell a few times, but each time she got up with a big smile. She's lucky to have you as an aunt, Vivika said softly. I'm lucky to be included, I said, smiling. You are always included, Octavia. I just couldn't see it before. But now I see, and I'm not looking away again. We spent the rest of the afternoon watching Maris play with her friends and cousins. The doctors and other adults talked and laughed together, but I stayed close to my family. It felt different this time. It felt right. I knew that my family finally saw me for who I really was. Not just my job, but everything I had worked for, and everything I cared about. As the sun went down, we all took pictures and laughed. Vivika hugged me tightly. Thank you for being part of this, she whispered. No, thank you for inviting me properly, I said. I watched Maris one last time before we left. She waved at me and laughed. I waved back, knowing that this was just the beginning of a new kind of family life for us. One where we saw each other, we valued each other, and we celebrated with each other. And in that moment I knew I belonged. Really belonged.